Well, hello everyone. Happy astrological new year and welcome to this Aries pre-full moon meditation. The exact time for the Aries full moon will be tomorrow, March 25th at 7 a.m. GMT. That's 12 midnight. Um, just, you know, less than 10 hours from now, 8.5 hours from now, 12 midnight on Pacific Daylight Time, 3 a.m. in the East Coast. The Aries full moon and the festival of Easter associated with it, as we know, is the first of three great annual festivals. DK says, this is the festival of the risen, living Christ, the teacher of all men and the head of the spiritual hierarchy. He is the expression of the love of God. On this day, the spiritual hierarchy, which he guides and directs, will be recognized, and the nature of God's love will be emphasized. This festival is determined always by the date of the first full moon of spring and is the great Western and Christian festival. A passage from Externalization of the Hierarchy gives us some idea of just how important these festivals are. What is done during this time, the three major festivals of 1945, by the members of the spiritual hierarchy of our planet, who face a major test of their hierarchical power, not a test of their love. What is accomplished by the disciples working in the world at this time, and also by the new group of world servers, can and will determine the destiny of man for centuries to come. Okay, so let's take a brief look at the astrological chart for the Aries full moon, which happens at the time of what is called a penumbral eclipse, during which time the moon passes through the Earth's shadow. Even though this partial eclipse won't be as significant as the full solar eclipse coming on April 8th, all lunar eclipses are important, for they mark a time of culmination, closure of some kind, since full moons also represent this since time cycle of completion, and these two events are concurrent, we can look for this doubly emphasized cycle-ending energy to play out both on the world stage and in our own lives. The fact that it will happen in Libra suggests that this energy of completion will impact contracts, alliances, and relationships of all kinds, both global and personal, thus allowing those involved to move on to a more appropriate and possibly even a higher form of connection. Strengthening this theme is a conjunction between Saturn and Venus in Pisces, which can, again, foster a reassessment of relationships. This is further strengthened by Venus's sextile to Jupiter and Uranus, which together expand this reassessing influence and brings in the desire for freedom. This waxing conjunction between Jupiter and Uranus and Taurus is in and of itself quite significant. It acts to expand awareness of our authentic self, of the spiritual archetype guiding our lives, and thus provide insight into our and our group's role in the plan. Globally, this conjunction will inspire all who seek freedom and equality. So, we see a clear theme emerging here with insight into our true selves, stimulating a reassessment of relationship. The ending of a cycle suggested by the eclipse and these various aspects can also represent the ending of a phase of a relationship, whether global or personal, which then allows for the beginning of a new phase. Okay, let's take a quick look at the constellation of Aries. In the labors of Hercules, we learned that Aries is the sign of outgoing power, of the streaming forth of divine energy from the central deity, God, or from the human being, a son of God. This energy streams forth in two directions. Thus, the point becomes the line, the one becomes the first. It streams forth into the world of forms and also into the world of being or of spirit. One stream of energy expresses the path of return, of inward going, and the two constitute the two arcs of the great circle of existence. At the other end of the spectrum, we have Jofra's painting, which depicts the traditional Martian rulership of this sign. Emulating the charging ram in the foreground, a red-caped warrior dashes forth, sword in hand, against a backdrop of erupting volcanoes, while a blindfolded woman seems to be searching for the light. Again, we're met with the challenge to choose our path forward, following either Aries' exoteric keywords, let form again be sought, or the higher qualities of Aries, which are connected with the will aspect, and ultimately with monadic identification. This choice is finally made in Libra, Aries' polar opposite. The esoteric keywords which represent this choice, this higher choice, are I come forth, and from the plane of mind I rule. It is the monad, that is the I, that comes forth. And from within the jewel in the heart of the egoic lotus rules from the plane of mind. These keywords also address the mental polarity necessary for discipleship, symbolized by Mercury in its role as esoteric ruler of Aries, and the fact that even in traditional astrology, Aries rules the head. Which makes Aries the preeminent channel for first-ray energy into humanity, resulting in purification by fire and destruction of that which is no longer of use. This first-ray influence is found in two additional descriptors for Aries, quote, directed personal effort and recognition and work with the divine plan. As hierarchical ruler of Aries, Uranus, like the Earth, has a first-ray monad and thus demonstrates both the first and seventh-ray energies. Though passage into the physical realm comes through Cancer, it was in Aries that the originating idea of each human being's first incarnation was sent forth, as depicted in this image. Eons later, it is again through Aries that the second great impulse is sent forth, this time opening the way onto the path of return. For it is through the lesser fire of mind that the, quote, jungles of experience are set on fire and dissolve in flames. Aries is a sign of new beginnings, and its energy can help us make a new beginning. an energy much fostered by this month's full moon chart. So we might ask ourselves, what should we, what can we, what will we choose to reorganize, regenerate, and ultimately repolarize ourselves towards under the influence of this great sign? Okay, let's take a quick look at the Heraclean labor for Aries. Heracles' very first labor was to capture the man-eating brood mares of Diomedes. The offspring of these mares symbolize wrong thought, wrong speech, and erroneous ideas. So it's imperative that before any other labor can even be attempted, Hercules and we must learn to control and still the mind. A key element in this labor is that after rounding up the mares, Hercules, who represents the soul, leaves Abderus, who represents the personality, to guard the mares, who then break loose and kill him, which is depicted here. As in the Scorpio labor, which is also exoterically ruled by Mars, the disciple must turn to the soul in order to control the lower mind. Okay. With this thought, let's turn to our meditation. Keep in mind that every full moon meditation helps to build our causal body into a more fit vehicle. And every group meditation helps to bring into being the soul of our group. So get into a meditative posture, spines erect. You begin to use the breath as a means of calming the physical, etheric, calming the astral. So now let us lift our focus onto the mental plane and enter into the presence of the soul. As we deepen into this contact, feel yourself moving into a field of light, of love, and of spiritual power. Now, let us merge ourselves as individual souls into a deep sense of the group soul. We can facilitate this merging by visualizing a ring of white light with each of us as a point within that ring, and at the center, the Master DK, who is one with the group soul. As our unity strengthens, let us extend this sense of inclusive connection out to the spiritually minded people of the world, including all men and women of goodwill. Now, in a conscious act of further extension, let us visualize our group soul merging into the one soul of humanity. In this act of inclusion comes the realization that there is no my soul and thy soul. In fact, it is the living awareness of this unified field of consciousness that we can truly say, naught is but me. Now, while bringing to bear the will aspect of the soul, let us visualize a potent point of tension within the mental unit, demonstrating as the color of your soul ray. This point of tension will form the foundation for your Antakarana. If you don't know your soul and personality rays, use the second ray color indigo. Now, let us visualize our dual-colored individual antakaranas, made up of the colors of our personality and soul rays, connecting the mental unit and the monastic permanent atom. As this connection grows stronger, visualize our individual antakaranas merging into the group antakarana, which glows with all the 7 colors, but primarily the deep indigo blue of the second ray, reaching into the realms of the spiritual triad. Now, in continued identification with the group soul, let us together affirm the great word of power, I see the greatest light. Now, from the point of group tension on the mental plane, imaginatively project a line of vivid, living white light into triadal realms. This group light is met by a light from on high. In the presence of this great light of the spiritual triad, let us, as a group, attempt to feel the presence of the Great White Brotherhood, the Lodge of Masters, the spiritual hierarchy of our planet. which we honor at this time. Now, with heartfelt gratitude, let us offer our salutations to the Masters and to the head of hierarchy, the Christ. Salutations to the Buddha, the Lord of Light and Wisdom. Salutations to the Christ, the Master of all masters. Salutations to the triangle of masters with whom we work most closely. Salutations to the Master Morya. Salutations to the Master Kuthumi. Salutations to the Master Dual Cool. Salutations to the spiritual hierarchy of our planet. Now, as a group, let us lift our thoughts to Shambhala, the center where the will of God is known, and with deepest reverence and in all humility, attune to the presence of Sanat Kumara, standing at the very center of Shambhala. It is in this heightened state that we can come to realize that Shambhala is the planetary center through which the energies of the constellations and the planets enter our world to be distributed to all living beings on Earth. Now let us lift our awareness to the three planetary rulers of the constellation Aries. Mars, the exoteric ruler, conveying fortitude and the will to fight for a high ideal. Mercury, the esoteric ruler, conveying the power to apprehend the archetypal idea and destroy illusion through fiery mental process. And Uranus, the hierarchical ruler, conveying the electric fire of pure will for the ultimate vivification of the entire human energy system through its linking to the world of being. So let us first turn our attention to the sixth ray warrior energy of Mars, which in Aries confers spiritual courage and the fiery aspiration needed for fusion with divinity and for the successful manifestation of the divine ideal. Let us, as a group, open our consciousness to this Martian stream of energy. Consider how you and the groups with which you are affiliated might use this stream, might use fortitude and the will to fight for a high ideal in your service to others. Let us draw this energy into ourselves and transmit it outwards through this group to all humanity. Now, let us turn our attention to the energy of Mercury, the esoteric ruler of Aries, which acts as a bridge between the archetypal worlds and the world of form. Let us as a group invoke the energy of Mercury, planet of transcendental mind and the birthplace of ideas, that we may stimulate our intuition and through it understand the part that we can play in the divine plan. How can you and the groups with which you are affiliated best use the energy of intuitive understanding to better serve humanity? Let us draw this energy into ourselves, visualizing intuitive energy flooding into our group aura. And as we do so, simultaneously transmit it outwards to all humanity. And finally, let us, as a group, tune into the influence of Uranus, source of the transformational energy of electric fire. Let us open our field of consciousness to this Uranian stream. Consider how you, your group, this group, might best use this Uranian transformative potency in our service to others. Now let us draw this energy into ourselves and transmit it outwards visualizing its effect on all those we touch. Now let us lift our focus to the solar logos, which expresses itself through our sun and the solar system. Consider the fact that we are ever immersed in the potency of love wisdom that pours through all the planets of this system, through Shambhala, and through every monad, soul, and personality on planet Earth. And now let us lift our attention to the constellation Aries, which radiates the light of life itself, ending forever the darkness of matter. The Master DK tells us that Aries acts as the searchlight of the Logos, seeking that which can be used for divine expression. So let us together open ourselves to the flame-like energy of Aries, attuning ourselves to its ray of pure deity, the first ray of will and power, that we may invoke the forces of restoration, so much needed at this time, in order that the divine plan may be restored on earth. Now let us take a moment to intone the Aryan mantra, followed by a moment of silence. I come forth, and from the plane of mind I rule. Finally, let us together visualize an energetic downflow from the constellation Pisces, from the constellation Aries, through the solar logos at the heart of our solar system, through the planets Mars, Mercury, and Uranus, into Shambhala, down through our monads, into the hierarchy, through the great Lord the Christ, and into and through the ashram with which you believe yourself to be increasingly associated, and thus through the soul of this group. Finally, into your spiritualized personality. Now, while as a group holding this high alignment, let us with love and compassion consider the world situation and imagine the ways in which the energies of Aries might flow through us for the upliftment and redemption of humanity and the planet. And now let us, with hands upraised and intoning the Om 3 times, send a group blessing into humanity so that it may rise to its true spiritual potential and thus fulfill the divine plan. Now let us sound the great invocation. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center which we call the race of men, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. Okay, thank you all.